Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on Season 2, Episode 9 of One Punch Man. And they really give no Fs in this season. Oh, you thought the Beast Titan-looking mother trucker was going to be a challenge for Saitama. You thought Goketsu, I think, is the other guy. These gigantic monsters who took out Suryu, treated him like a ragdoll. You thought they were going to be these champions of destruction that Saitama would have to face. And they're both dispatched in the first, 5 minutes of the episode. Without even blinking. Saitama just pops Beast Titan in half. He's half of him's gone. Goketsu, you just see his head come flying in from off camera. Now, some people may be complaining about that and saying, we were robbed of seeing some tremendous fights and everything. But I would actually suggest that, things like what happened with Garo, his calling back to fighting the dog dude and having his ass almost handed to him and everything like that. Seeing glimpses of that, even though it was in a semi-flashback form, kind of held up for any sort of action elements that this episode was missing. It was mostly just this obtuseness that Saitama carries with himself was kind of how they polished the whole episode as far as the threat the Monster Association represents. They just sort of quit. They're like, all right, we've done enough for today. We're going to go home. Which just happens to coincide, coincidentally, with Saitama's being on the prowl now, looking out for these monsters and figuring, hey, let's see if any of these guys offers me up a challenge. And I love the dialogue. The dialogue between Saitama and Suryu and how he's now, inspired Suryu in a similar fashion to how he did with Genos. He wants to be Saitama's disciple. He wants to be a hero properly now that he's seen what Saitama represents, what he can accomplish, and it's just spectacular, that aspect. Really loved the rapport and the dialogue going back and forth between them. Saitama's like, could you please not mention that it was me? Who used Chanonko's name, who used a false name to get into this martial arts tournament, and such like that. And then, of course, Saitama runs into Garo. Garo sees King with Saitama, and he guns for King, and all Saitama has to do is kick him. There is a human-shaped, hole in the wall, all of the old Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, cartoons, something like that, which had me dying. But I loved the whole dialogue, the rapport between King and Saitama. King with this wisdom, dropping the skills and what it means to be a hero, and how Saitama, though he is so bored with everything, though he's so frustrated with everything, it doesn't matter, as long as you are still aspiring towards something, and here's something you should be aspiring toward. Selflessness, being a world-class hero, someone whose first inkling is not to, see if I can best another opponent in a fight, but save people, preserve lives and do the actual heroic thing, like Moomin Rider and some of these other heroes. I mean, most of the Hero Association, they're all scumbags. They're all assholes. They just want to prove themselves the baddest ass in the land. And that's kind of what Garo's going on, but in a more, negative sort of connotation, where he's a human, but he's calling himself a monster. And then you got the Monster Association, completely unrelated. He's probably going to be their biggest, darkest disciple at some point toward the end of the series. But I loved it. I loved the dialogue. I loved the comedy. I loved that aloof, sensibility of Saitama's, where he just doesn't care. He's just obtuse. He's oblivious. And he's bored. It's because he's utmost bored. He's become the most powerful being in existence, and he's bored by everything. And I'm wondering if Monster Garo is going to be the way to go to snap him back into a Slim Jim, so to speak. We saw Speed of Sound Sonic actually being tempted to become a monster by a few of his own. Here he is, he's being proffered this monster cell. He sees what these, former heroes or former martial artists or whatever they are, criminals, what they're capable of now that they've transformed. We have a sort of splinter cell going into the Hero Association, a monster who's transforming, air quotes, bringing a message from the Monster Association. So everything is primed on this cliffhanger's edge of what the hell's gonna happen next. Of course, we find out Speed of Sonic, he ends up cooking the monster cell they gave him, cutting it up, slicing it up, making a fancy schmancy dinner out of it. Does he transform into a monster? Probably not, because there's a blurb at the end that said he got diarrhea from eating it. You know, and it was just great seeing like Puri Puri Prisoner again, facing this porcupine monster opponent who wants free hugs because he's got spikes all over his body. It was a spectacular episode for me. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it was lacking a little bit in the action department. I really can't complain. As I've said, as long as the story is there, the comedy is there, that's why I'm there in the first place. I don't need like over-the-top action. I don't need really well choreographed fights. I'd appreciate that. You know, I like it when we're given it. But I don't absolutely need it. And this episode, it managed to give me everything I needed to be entertained. To be laughing out both sides of my face, you know, over here with Saitama's interaction with Suryu, over here with his interactions with King, his easily dispatching these two giant monsters that, you know, over the last couple of episodes were supposed to be the biggest, baddest threat, and no Fs were given, man. He just drops them both in the blink of an eye, off camera for the most part. And I had a badass time watching this. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of Season 2, Episode 9 of One Punch Man. Love or to hate it, anything goes in the comments below. And until next time, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.